and the perception of him at the time was that he was just crying wolf, and he's already getting a lot of free throws anyway. However, it wasn't until years later in 2007 where this was all revealed to be correct, so Iverson wasn't lying. Some refs were certainly out to get him.
Let's get it, silly butts. We back with Dtae Reacts. We got the untold beef between Allen Iverson versus the NBA. If you're new to the channel, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn the notification bell on. But let's get into this video and see what's going on between Allen Iverson and the NBA. I always did kind of think it was weird the way that the NBA treated Allen Iverson, but it was kind of before my time, so I really couldn't put too many comments on it because I was a kid when all of that was going on, if you know what I mean. But let's get to this video.
When you think of Allen Iverson, there's a lot of things that come to mind. His excellence on the court, his ridiculous handles, his crossovers, his fashion sense, his spectacular playoff run in 2001. On and off the court, he was one of a kind, a guy who had arguably the biggest cultural influence on the modern NBA game. In an era of giants, Iverson dominated, and his skills on the court need no further introduction. However, what doesn't get talked about much is his relationship with the NBA itself, namely his relationships with former Commissioner David Stern, and his relationship with the referees. There was a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, to the point where the league was targeting Iverson on purpose. In this video, we're going to take a look at these topics and the circumstances surrounding Iverson's beef with the NBA. First, let's start with the refs. This is one of the lesser known stories of Iverson's career, and it's something that probably should be talked about more. Let's take a look at an excerpt from the book Blowing the Whistle by former referee Tim Donaghy in 2007. For those who don't know, Donaghy was convicted for participating in that huge betting scandal. However, what he says here makes a lot of sense, considering what happened afterwards proved it to be true. Relationships between NBA players and referees were generally all over the board: love, hate, and everything in between. Some players, even very good ones, were targeted by referees and the league because they were too talented for their own good.
Wow.
This leads us to his piece on Allen Iverson.
That's a powerful statement. How you gonna tell somebody that God blessed them with a talent or a gift and they was too good at a sport that was man-made for their own good? That just go to show you everything that you need to know about the NBA. As much as I love the NBA and I love basketball and everything like that, that just go to show you right there that it's always somebody behind closed doors, behind the curtains, moving the pieces like it's a chess game. And that's crazy. We about to get into it right now. We about to find out what this referee had to say about it. I guess his name is Tim Donaghy, and he was a part of a controversial scandal where referees and people probably more so above rigged games and basically ruin players' careers, or at least try to. I can only imagine how it feels to be an NBA player that's went 10, 15 years of playing basketball. You get all the way to the NBA just to find out that what you've watched, which has been your number one motivation to become professional, is basically scripted and a fake, like wrestling. And that's just sad that people had to go through that. But let's get to the video. I don't want to talk y'all heads off. Let's get to it.
Donaghy said, Allen Iverson provides a good example of a player who generated strong reactions, both positive and negative, within the core of NBA referees. For instance, veteran referee Steve Javie hated Allen Iverson and hated to give him a favorable call.
Wow.
If Javie was on the court when Iverson was playing, I would always bet on the other team to win or at least cover the spread. No matter how many times Iverson hit the floor, he rarely saw the foul line. At first,
Wow.
it might seem that this beef between Javi and Iverson was fabricated by Tim Donaghy.
Is he still
However,
alive?
in that same year, the NBA fined Iverson $25,000 for his remarks about Steve Javi after the Nuggets lost to the Sixers. In regards to the fine, Iverson stated, "I thought that he was calling the game personal and he threw me out. His fuse is real short anyway, and I should have known that I couldn't say anything anyway. It's been something personal with me and him since I got in the league. This was just the perfect game for him to try and make me look bad." On top of this, Donaghy himself admitted to seeking revenge against Iverson for the way he confronted and acted towards the refs.
Oh.
A few months later, after Iverson got traded, in a game between Denver and Utah, Mehmet Okur knocked Iverson to the ground late in the game, but it resulted in a no call. In an interview on 60 Minutes, Donaghy was reffing this game, and apparently him and the refs wanted to, quote, teach him a lesson.
Wow.
With that being said, there were also other refs like Joey Crawford, the guy who threw Tim Duncan out of the game for laughing. Most players despised Crawford. However, Iverson was one of a few players who got along well with him. It was mainly because Crawford's grandson is a huge fan of him, and they would routinely be seen shaking hands, taking pictures, and talking to each other. Crawford would call the game more favorably in Iverson's favor. Regardless, the real issue here is that the refs basically called the game differently depending on their relationship with certain players. That's been speculated to happen across all major sports, but this was the first time in the NBA where it was confirmed that it happens. In the early 2000s, when the Sixers were making deep pushes into the playoffs, Iverson himself has stated numerous times that the refs were out to get him. But nobody believed him. Nobody really cared about what he was saying.
Man, I know how that feel, personally. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Being blackballed and blackmailed has been a trending thing for a very long time. But since people really haven't had the critical thinking skills to take the time to think about what goes on around them and acknowledge the fact that there has to be something more at play, that these things have gone on for a very long time. And it's sad that Allen Iverson had to go through that. But now that it's all coming out, I hope that people give Allen Iverson his more respects than they already give him for the way that he was treated in the league. And like I said, me personally, I know exactly how it feels to have a whole community of people around you. And when I say community, I'm not talking about, a whole city or state or anything like that. But it can be a select few of people that have some authority, that have say-so, they have access to, different people in different ways to try to ruin your life. I have been going through that myself. I've been going through that myself for about almost a year and a half now, where I've had a community of people try to deliberately target me and try to do whatever they can in order to get a reaction out of me. And the same way that these people in sports, like Allen Iverson, and probably some other players, have to maintain their cool, or they'll look like the bad guy, or they'll look crazy, and people will say, oh, he has to go to a mental hospital because he's crazy. What is he talking about? These are the things that be at play behind closed door. And I do want to thank God for giving us the strength. And I'm going to say us because I'm going to include myself into this situation, ironically. But giving us the strength to just maintain our cool, stay calm, and stay collective throughout these trials and tribulations that we had to go through. But I do say that I do think that it's unfair, and I very, very think that it's selfish of people to deliberately target other people just because they don't like them. That's not cool. But when you put people in position to have that access and have those opportunities to, basically get over, terrorize, just all type of things to another person, It's basically just bullying. And it's not cool at all. But in a sense, there's nothing people can do about it. And like we all know, you know, just because you're not being a positive, critical aspect and supporter of what someone's doing, like AI, we're talking about AI right now, or maybe we could talk about me myself. But just because basically you're a hater does not mean that you're not adding to my success. Straight up. Or AI success, and so on and so forth. I know I got kind of personal here, but that kind of touched me at the heart aspect of my life, because like when they say nobody believed AI when he brought it up, now it's all coming out. That's how I personally feel, and there's nothing that I can do about it. So, if you are a person that's going through this and have been or went through this, I'm proud of you for maybe keeping your calm, cool, collective attitude and getting through it. And if you are a person that is going through it, keep your head up. There's always light at the end of the tunnel and brighter days. If you're a person that are doing this, the devil got a nice spot in hell for you. Straight up. The devil got a nice spot in hell for you. You're going to sit right next to him and go through and suffer. Straight up. But yeah, let's get back to the video. Enough about me and my trials and tribulations. Let's get back to AI, because we know that this stuff is real. Thanks to social media and people sharing their stories and always talking about it, and things are coming to the light with all of these conspiracy theories. It's real. People are after people. I'm not gonna say everybody, but there are some people out here that are deliberately being targeted, and it's not cool. Not cool at all. But yeah, let's get back to the video though. I know I said that about 2 times now. Hey, if you're new to the channel, it's your boy DtaeNoDinero here. Check me out on TikTok. Pushing about 22,000 followers on there. Subscribe to my channel. Help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Like the video as well. And let's finish off with AI and what he had to go through in the NBA and why the NBA was after him. We all know Allen Iverson had a different approach to things. So yeah, let's get back to the video. Maybe I got a different approach to things, and it's different from what the community around me and society around me does, which is why it puts more of a light on me, and people don't like me. But it's not gonna stop me from being me at all. You know what I mean? So hey, I appreciate all the people that have subscribed and checked out the channel, and just tune in to the things we talk about on here. Y'all like this type of content, drop it in the comments. We could talk more about this. We can actually, bring some of y'all on to the stream, and we could talk about it face to face. But for the most part, we're gonna keep going with the reactions until we cross that bridge.
And the perception of him at the time was that he was just crying wolf, and he's already getting a lot of free throws anyway. However, it wasn't until years later in 2007 where this was all revealed to be correct. So Iverson wasn't lying. Some refs were certainly out to get him. Now, the second part of this beef was directly between Iverson and David Stern himself. From when he entered the NBA as the #1 pick to his retirement in 2010, Stern and the NBA executives never viewed Iverson in a positive light. They did not like his image or the trends that he set in the NBA. During the 2000 offseason, Iverson recorded a rap single called 40 Bars. This would be immediately condemned by David Stern, and he did not want Iverson to release it as it did not conform to what he wanted the NBA's image to be. It's quite ironic because the NBA made millions upon millions of dollars off of Iverson's image to begin with, yet they used him as an example of how not to act. It was quite ironic indeed. In 2005, the NBA implemented a new dress code, becoming the first major sports league to control the way their players dressed up. The dress code would ban fashion and clothes that was associated with hip-hop culture during press interviews or sidelined injuries. That list included things like do-rags, large jewelry, and ripped jeans. Iverson was almost exclusively the reason for the league implementing this, as his fashion sense popularized this league-wide trend.
Hey man, before we keep going, I mean, I know we talking about some deep stuff here, that has to do with people being basically blackballed and being pushed into a direction that they don't want to go. They're being forced to go that way by outside sources. I swear, I know exactly how this stuff feels on a whole other level. But I just want to ask to people that may have an opportunity to maybe feel bold enough to comment. Is hip hop really that bad? Is people having a culture outside of what you necessarily think that they, what you necessarily live your life behind? Is it really that bad? Like, I'm a person right here where I like a lot of different things. I like to try things. Okay, I'm very adventurous. So, on Thanksgiving, because that holiday just passed, and give you an example here. A lot of the households that I go to of my nationality, my ethnicity, where I'm going with this is my race. They don't eat green bean casserole. But being an adventurous person, I tried it a long time ago, and it's like one of my favorite dishes. So where I'm basically saying is that there's things that everybody may not like, may like, and so on and so forth. But is what you like better than what the next person like? And does that need to be expressed on this type of level? See, the difference between what goes on in those type of situations that I'm talking about is basically wealth and image, power and control. When these people have power and they have control and they have money and wealth and they have access to different resources and different people, they have access to resources and so on and so forth, they could push things to go on a different agenda. But what I really don't understand is the why. Is the why. That's what I don't understand. See, if I had to answer the question for myself, it'd be the fact of the matter that people have children and they don't want their children to grow up and idolize certain things that maybe they don't think are cool or maybe they don't find fit for the way that they live their lives. So in this sense here, we're talking about Allen Iverson. He got the fitted cap on. It's cocked to a left or a right side. He has a chain on. He's wearing baggy clothes. He's rapping. And as an adult, you have the choice to live your life the way that you want to live your life. But for them and these people directly we're talking about, they don't want to live their life that way. So they want to force that. They want to force. When I say force, I mean force. Because we all know what it sounds like to force yourself. We all know what it is to force yourself on someone sexually. That's rape. So it's, and I know I'm saying a lot of different things here, but to force yourself onto someone, now, to force someone to do something because you don't like it, right? Oh, I didn't grow up listening to this type of music. Now, I have children. I don't want my children to grow up listening to this kind of music. But your children can do whatever they want. Or you're going to force your children to do that. These are deep topics. And the reason why a lot of people go through a lot of issues in life and why we are faced with so much chaos in America now because of everyone's opinions and how entitled they are to them, and then you get access to some way, money, power, something of what someone needs, and then you hold that over their head like a carrot in order for them to basically change their ways. Now, do we have adults out here that act like children and don't know no better and aren't intellectually that smart as maybe some of the smartest people in the world? Yes, that's the true fact. But in this case here, we're talking about we're talking about the way a person wears their clothes. We're talking about the way a person, or what kind of music people like. So this stuff is deep. This stuff is deep. And I don't think that is fair at all. Now, me personally, I don't want to be an advocate for speaking up for what the rest of the world should be doing, because I honestly just want to be wealthy myself. So, hey, I'm going to be a person just like the rest, or some of the rest, and be an enabler and just let the stuff goes on. But since this topic did get brought up in this video here, and it's so relative to what and how I wanted to live my life, it touched me a different way. I, started a business and stuff like that, and I didn't think I've tried to be the person in the business world where I only talk proper and I carried myself a certain way, and I still got treated the same way I would get treated as if I wore clothes like Allen Iverson and I listened to the same music as Allen Iverson. So instead, I just decided to just go whatever way and whatever route I felt necessary in the way that I wanted to at the time being, and which is why I'm talking about this and I feel this way about it. I don't think that is fair. I think that is completely selfish and controlling of people, and which is the reason why back in probably the 1700s or the 1750s, 1800s, whatever time it was, where a certain community of women started to fight back and ask for equal rights. Because there are certain people in power and they have a lot of money, and if you don't do what they want you to do, they'll push you out and they'll treat you like nothing, and then they'll act like nothing never happened. Because technically we can't read no one's minds, but we can read people's actions, and we can read people's patterns. It's completely unfair, it's completely selfish, and sometimes you need to grow up. You can't control the world. You can't control people. The only thing you can do is control you. I don't think that it was fair that Allen Iverson went through this, and I don't think that it's fair that anyone has to go through this. I don't support no type of bullying. Physical bullying, cyberbullying, psychological warfare. I don't support any type of bullying at all. At all. I know I got a little more personal here on this video, but like I said, man, this stuff is real. And when you've gone through it, you start to understand what side of the fence you want to be on. You be on the side of the fence where you a part of it, or you be on the side of the fence where you speak up against it. And y'all, I think by the way I'm talking, y'all can get the impression what side of the fence I'm on.
And it was going in a direction that Stern did not like. In 2008, Iverson was not even invited to Team USA for the 2008 Olympics in Beijing, despite having one of the best seasons of his career. In the 2007-8 season, he was the best player on the Denver Nuggets, better than Melo, who did get invited to Team USA. The media cited the reasons for that was due to his lackluster performance in 2004. But a lot of other players from 04 got invited back, and Iverson had a great rapport with his teammates. In fact, Iverson was actually one of the better players on that 04 Olympic team that won bronze. The issue was, he didn't see eye to eye with the coaching staff. But by 2008, the entire coaching staff from 04 was overturned, so I feel like that's not a valid reason to exclude him. Perhaps the most disrespectful moment was at the end of his career. The 2009-10 season would be his final season in the NBA. Yet he had no fanfare. He got no tributes from the media. The NBA did not treat his retirement appropriately. This was a guy who changed the entire culture of the NBA.
Definitely
and
did.
In his prime, he was arguably the most popular player since Michael Jordan. But it seemed like the NBA did not care whatsoever, and viewed Iverson as a burden, and that his retirement was a relief. It wasn't just the NBA media either. On ESPN, right after Iverson retired, they created a poll on national television, asking fans what they remember the most about Iverson. The first option was a Hall of Famer. The second option was his practice rant. That ended up being the choice that most people selected.
Wow.
It is kinda sad though, to have one of the most legendary players of all time be remembered for this practice rant. There's so much else to his legacy than just this. This continued with articles from NBA.com as well. They would rank the top 10 players from the 2000s decade, and Iverson didn't even get into the top 10, nor was he even given an honorable mention. Maybe it was arguable and he barely missed it, but still, it was a highly controversial list when it came out, and fans believed it was another knock on Iverson's legacy. From his quiet retirement to all the disrespect throughout the years, a lot of channels and sports media created a mockery out of one of the best players of his generation. At the end of the day, was Iverson the perfect player or perfect person? No, of course not. A lot of fans believe that he was indeed a polarizing player, but the polarization was created by the media itself. What the media does not talk about is that Iverson was an incredible teammate, a great leader who all of his teammates respected because he had their backs. He was never ejected for any flagrant fouls. Every time a former player was asked about Iverson, they only had good things to say about him.
In AI as a competitor, he drove me to be as more obsessive about the game because I had to figure out how to solve that problem, And I told him when I saw him here this weekend, I said, man, you don't realize how much you pushed me, and I don't think people nowadays realize how great you were as a player.
His peers, his contemporaries,
Rest
they
up,
all
Kobe.
viewed Iverson in a positive light. He would routinely give back to the neighborhoods of Philly and always spend time with kids at his camps. So despite all the media criticism, believe it or not, Iverson's a great guy. Yes, he did have his controversial moments, but for the most part, a lot of the negativity was fabricated to hurt his image. While he was widely disparaged by the media, he was also widely respected among the NBA players. No players have ever said anything bad about him. And that's all, folks. That sums up the circumstances of Iverson, the referees, and David Stern. Even after an amazing career, Iverson's life has been quite rocky. But I hope this video gave you a better idea of how he was treated during his career. It was a catastrophe. He was the NBA's cash cow and his image made them millions of dollars. But his image was also disrespected by the same people who benefited from it. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments your thoughts about Allen Iverson and this whole entire situation. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.
I definitely want to appreciate Andy Hoops for, dropping this great content. This was a very good video, man. I'm pretty sure a lot of people tuned into it and had their own comments and opinions about the way they feel Allen Iverson's career went. So if you can drop a like to it, if you can go to this channel, drop a like, subscribe. Also, if you're here and you appreciate anything that I talked about so far, drop a like. If you want to subscribe. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in, dropping comments. Before I do leave here, I don't want to speak any type of way where it seems one-sided. Being a business owner and having to plan on the future of the business, I can understand why Allen Iverson's image, I'm not gonna say image. Allen Iverson's image, because it's not saying who he is. Allen Iverson's image could have been more intimidating for the legacy of what the NBA had probably wanted it to turn out to be. This was in the early 2000s. I guess he retired in 2010, 2011. So, around that time, I can say that the way that he carried himself was more relevant to the hip-hop culture, which at that point in time was nothing like what it is now. Now, basketball players coming into the league now, are they anything like Allen Iverson? No. Which is probably what they wanted to happen. They wanted the legacy of what basketball players to turn out to be and end up to be nothing like what the hip hop culture had turned out to be and what it looks like now to this day. The stuff that goes on out here now is senseless. I'm almost absolutely sure Allen Iverson will tell you that the stuff that be going on out here be senseless. So I can completely understand why. I mean, and if this is the case, if they, treated Allen Iverson the way they treated him. They didn't want to, influence the younger people that wanted to become professional basketball players to be or live or to think that way. But to not basically say that they understand or root for a person that changed the NBA when he came into the league, it's just nonsense itself. Iverson is a Hall of Famer in my eyes. Hopefully, I don't really know if he did make it to the Hall of Fame or not. So hopefully he did make it to the Hall of Fame. I think that he did. I think they ended up letting all. I think they ended up then putting Al Iverson in the Hall of Fame. But I just feel like just because a person carry themselves a certain way, dress a certain way, speak a certain way, does not mean that is who they are at heart. Everybody wants to be treated fairly and want to be treated like a human being. Wants their respect, wants their acknowledgement, wants their recognition. And if he came into the league controversial and started to maybe even steal the spotlight from some other NBA players that were already in the spotlight, it made them money. It made the NBA more money than what they're already making, first off. And second off, second off, I lost my train of thought, y'all, honestly. I kind of lost my train of thought there. But for real, though, like, I feel like that this stuff right here needs to be acknowledged. I'm not picking no sides here. I just know that me personally, I've been through it. I've gone through it. And I may even still currently go through it. But there's nothing that we can do about it besides continue being ourselves. It's your boy DtaeNoDinero, man. Make sure y'all drop some in the comments on what y'all think about this video. Some of the things that I said. I want to know y'all personal opinion. Do y'all feel like Allen Iverson was doing too much? Do y'all feel like that he was too much of a person that shouldn't have been in a person that represented something that the NBA didn't want to represent? Or do y'all feel like he was just being a regular person, dressing the way that he dressed it and talking the way he talked it because that's who he was? Drop it in the comments. What y'all think? I'm curious. But yeah, though. Hey, before I let y'all go, like the video. Silly. Let's get it.